Hello and welcome to Season 2 of Bots and Thoughts, the hyperautomation podcast sponsored by Salient Process. I'm your host, Jimmy Hewitt, aka Mr. Automation. Hi, Bots and Thoughts community. I am super excited to share this episode with you today, not only because it's the first episode of Season 2, but also because of the special guest that we have for you. Greg Pollack is responsible for digital business automation software sales at IBM North America. And what stands out to me about Greg is how hands-on and closely he works alongside his automation customers, who are some of the most strategic and market-moving digital business automation adopters on the planet. This qualifies Greg to speak on trends and where the puck is moving so that you and your teams can plan accordingly. Not only from a business use case / problem solving perspective, but the software side as well, and how these two are married together. My favorite part from the conversation was when he got into the cascading orders of value that business automation generates over time. It's not just the usual suspects of cost savings and operational excellence. So stay tuned to find out what they are and so much more with my friend, Mr. Greg Pollack. Welcome to Bots and Thoughts, everyone. This is our first episode of Season 2. We have an incredible special guest for you all to kick things off right. Welcome to the show, Mr. Greg Pollack, IBM's digital business automation sales leader for the Americas. Welcome, Greg. How are you?
Wonderful, Jimmy. Thanks for having me on. I've been watching and listening to a lot of your podcasts in 2022. Happy for all your success and glad to be on.
Well, thanks so much for being here. We've got a lot to cover. We want to talk about what you're seeing in the automation marketplace, recap on 2022, looking forward to 2023. You see a lot of clients on a daily, weekly, monthly, annual basis. You have your finger on the pulse of their goals, of their challenges, of the benefits of automation against those goals and challenges, trends, things like how the skill set is changing for companies adopting digital business automation. We have a lot of ground to cover. So let's jump right in. Why don't you expand upon what it means to be America's digital business automation sales leader?
Sure. So my day-to-day operations is to lead the Americas, which includes North America, Canada, Latin America, sales of our digital business automation technology. That includes a whole litany of tasks that include mentoring young sellers, but also working with our customers, which is my favorite thing to do in this job. And as you mentioned, I've got a chance to meet customers in all different industries and listen to what they have to say about what they're doing, what their challenges are. I interact a lot with our product management team to understand the direction and help lead the direction and give them the voice of the customer, which is really, really important, as you know, with bringing products to market and helping customers achieve success with automation, is that two-way feedback with them. And so I try and prioritize that as a part of my role, to bring that back to the business and understand how we can help them better. And frankly, if sales is sales, right? Our job is to work with these clients and help them understand what our technologies can do and bring the best of IBM, right? What IBM's known for is solving complex problems and helping clients do that. And that's a big part of what I do every day.
That's great. Yeah, a model of client centricity. You are, Greg. And we paid several visits to clients throughout the years in my time at Salient and at IBM. Different cities, different industries, different customers. You really do have your finger on the pulse of what's going on. Let's talk about goals. As you look back on the clients that you've supported in 2022 and you think about the clients that you will be supporting in 2023, what is the number one goal that comes to mind with regards to digital business automation? Maybe number one or number two. What are some goals that you're seeing?
It's interesting. Every customer is going to have a different set of goals that they prioritize, whether you're talking to a specific line of business or someone who's just kind of at a high level within the organization. But just about every automation revolution, right, has shared some very simple goals that all are very similar, right? The first is, speeding up the way we do tasks and to increase productivity, right? Get more done with the people that we do have, or with less resources, right? As we know that, budgets are tightening. There's a looming recession potentially. So that's a huge thing, is really focusing on productivity. The other piece is just improve the quality of the output, right? As we've learned with RPA and a number of automation technologies, the ability to reduce the amount of mistakes or human error in a business is certainly a critical goal that our customers have. And I think the other one, the last one, which I think is the antithesis of what we do, is to free up humans so they can focus on higher value work, right? How do we create a more customer centric point of view? Do you outsource certain tasks to robots, and so that you can have higher value work with customers, right? We see in the financial industry, how do we eliminate a lot of the back office stuff so financial advisors can spend more time advising clients using the knowledge work that they have? Or in healthcare, right? Spending time with healthcare systems to understand how they can allow their clinicians and doctors to spend more time with the patients versus filling prescriptions and filling out paperwork and all this other stuff. So, every customer is different, but those three common goals are usually kind of the baseline for what we see in clients trying to achieve: improve operations and get the knowledge workers doing more of what they do best.
Yeah, totally agree. It does seem like everyone wants to operate faster at higher quality and get more out of their highly valuable knowledge workers. Totally agree on those big three goals.
Correct.
The fun part for me is getting hands dirty with each and every business to learn what their version, what their flavor of those three goals actually looks like. Whether it's the hospital that is short-staffed on nurses and doctors and wants to automate the back office stuff so that they can see 7 people per day instead of 5. Love getting into those types of details. Or the wealth management company that is looking to onboard more customers at the existing staffing levels. You onboard 3 people per person per day. Why not 4? That's doing faster work at higher levels of quality and getting more out of your knowledge workers. So for the listeners out there, whatever your flavor of those 3 goals are super valid. And what we're going to get into here is, hopefully some practical ways to achieve those goals. Before we get into the benefits of automation and how we help achieve those goals, let's talk about some challenges. So maybe the inverse of goals are challenges, or maybe not. So Greg, as you think about what challenges does IBM Digital Business Automation solve, what comes to mind? And maybe even, drop down a level, think about a specific example, if any come to mind. What are the big challenges?
Yeah. There's so many. Especially when you think about the broadness of what can be automated in today's world, right? Yeah. But I think the one that stands out to me the most, at least in the last year, is really the process of identifying the correct thing to automate, right? Yeah. Whether it's a process, whether it's a workflow, whatever it ends up being. A lot of the challenges that our customers faced in the past that were very evident the more we did, consulted with them, is, they had these lofty automation goals. And, with RPA, it was like, how many minutes out of the day did we save, and so on and so forth. But a lot of times they chose process to automate based on some emotional reaction, right? Like, I would love to eliminate some of these basic sales reporting duties out of my daily basis. But at the same time, is that really delivering ROI to IBM, right? What is that saving me? So ultimately, when customers are making those decisions on where to automate, now we have more technology at our fingertips to allow us to not only identify the right processes, but do so in a data-driven approach. That's one. Another one is, we've got a growing complexity. Most of the senior IT or operations leaders that I speak with on a regular basis like to talk about how many applications they have, right? Like the modern application estates have thousands of different applications in their portfolio, right? Whether that's SaaS solutions or line of business apps that have been built. It's a challenge for these senior leaders to really, truly understand the complexity and kind of, have some visibility into how they can improve or reduce that estate or make things more frictionless, right? And that's a big one as well as sometimes it's just having lack of budget to spend on automation, right? Companies are spending billions and billions of dollars globally, but many of these companies are still not executing at full capacity. And a lot of that has to go back to that first challenge that I talked about, which is identifying the right process, right? You spend a bunch of money and you may not get the intended ROI, but like it's important to be investing. But I think some of the challenges are, hey, we've got to solve this other thing and, my budget's going there, and automation, isn't the forefront of the conversation. And, last but not least, right, we talked about this with the healthcare example. There's this concept of the talent shortage that's out there, right? Organizations really need to attract and retain their talent, and employees want to work in an environment that empowers them and allows them to focus on more meaningful stuff, right? They don't want to be doing mundane tasks. Yes. So, folks like me are looking for companies that embrace automation, that make their lives easier. And I think that's a trend that will continue, right? And I think having the right skills as well as focusing on the employee experience is also going to translate into a better customer experience long tail.
A lot of challenges, man. Where do you?
There's no shortage. Those are just the four that came to my mind, Jimmy. Right?
Yeah.
Those are the key ones that we talk about that resonate really well with customers.
Yeah. So to reflect on one or two of them that you mentioned, Greg, the enterprise customers you're working with, they are spending billions of dollars on stuff per year. It reminds me of one company we were working with. It's they've got a SG&A or general and administrative expenses line item in their annual report around $1 billion. That's everything. It's an operational expense line item in your annual report, right? And that's a challenge. It's been growing 10% quarter after quarter. That's a lot. They're stacking on $100 million per year in incremental operational expenses. That's a challenge. They're spending a lot of money keeping their lights on, doing business. The question is, of course, how can digital business automation play a part in curbing those growing expenses? How can we streamline your operations? How can we get more out of your people? So just to kind of reflect on that challenge.
100%, Jimmy. Right. And I, as someone who, you and I have worked together a long time, I am a process junkie by nature. Right. But, we also have solutions that are in the content management and data capture space, which is also, it's part of a process. And we see a lot of companies invested in getting rid of paper-based processes, investing in more of a modern content services estate, getting away from, kind of the legacy tools. And there's no shortage of, the insurance companies that we work with. We have a heavy presence with those. And there's so much paper in the claims process. There's workflows to execute. There's like keeping those records in for a certain amount of time, and solving some of those challenges that related to content management and data capture are certainly a big part of what we do as well.
Yeah, it's crazy. One of our first episodes from season 1 was the history of hyperautomation. One of them talks about the digital back office. came up in the mid to late 1980s. And here we are, 25 years later.
No, 100%. I mean, the
and
printing
we still
press,
don't have
every
digital
innovation,
office.
right? Everything innovation was that in automation is, like I said before, right? It's to improve productivity, to speed up your common tasks, right? To be able to do things. We've been constantly striving to do these different things, the dishwasher and the washing machines. Now we're at a point where we're focused on technological line of business applications, right? On how to make them more efficient, how to, make them more customer centric. And, a great example of a company that had a challenge most recently is our friends over at Southwest Airlines. Like they ended up having, and their senior vice president came out and said, we really need to address the need for automation and how to handle our crew reassignments. We messed up, and automation is pervasive. Customers, experience these challenges every day. It's only a handful that end up on the front page of the New York Times, right? Every small business, medium business is experiencing similar things to Southwest, just at a smaller scale. So, that's where we're focused, is not just in the big enterprise, but to bring our point of view on automation to every business, large and small, because, these challenges exist, in some cases in greater scale at the smaller businesses, because they don't have the budget to spend on automation. And that's where the challenge is. How can we give them something of substance and solve a problem without breaking their bank? And, obviously, that's one of, Salient sweet spots, is being able to help customers grow their automation practice with the expertise that you guys bring to market, with the technology and that IBM brings to you. So, this is my favorite part: solving challenges, right? Getting underneath the challenges that customers have, and then trying to figure out how to improve their daily operations.
Yeah. Appreciate that shout out. And speaking
No,
of
you're welcome. It's true.
Yeah. Speaking of our kind of customer journey, it does start with process discovery, combination of process mining, process mapping, business architecture. You have to X-ray your business before you know where to operate. There's a lot of areas to operate within, so prioritize those opportunities, develop a business case for them, pitch them to your leadership, get them implemented, get those quick wins, immediate impacts racked up, and you start to really roll down this path of virtuous self-funding business automation. And that's where we're at with most, if not all, of our clients. It's so fun sitting in on process mapping workshops, reviewing the results of a process mining sprint, seeing, hey, did you know that you're actually doing this 8 times out of 10 on your warranty review / approved process? No one knew that that's what was going on, but process discovery highlighted that. And did you know that, making this change here could impact your business by X, Y, and Z? That is such a rewarding part of what we do, Greg. Identifying opportunities, getting, those opportunities solved. A lot of challenges to overcome. So let's talk about benefits. You represent the IBM Digital Business Automation platform. There's a lot of capabilities inside what you represent, what we represent. So maybe take this 2 ways. At a high level, what are the benefits of IBM's Digital Business Automation platform / automation in general? But maybe on a more nuanced level as well, if you could, Greg, because we have some pretty experienced people out there listening. So rather than, the 5 capabilities of hyperautomation, if you could maybe give us a peek into the incremental, on the margins, what's new within these capabilities, things to look forward to in 2023. What are some high level and low level benefits?
Yeah, that's a nice little segue. I appreciate that. Look, at the end of the day, the benefits to intelligent automation have really been growing as the technology matures, right? The simple explanation is, you've got now the ability to process extremely high volumes of unstructured and structured data, leveraging RPA bots, and really, over the last 2 or 3 years, companies, IBM as well, have invested in this technology to really amp up their ability to drive out some of all the mundane manual stuff out of their swivel chair out of their business, right? And what that's done is number one, it's increased worker productivity. Folks don't like I'll talk about an example of what we do at IBM. Like we use RPA in our quoting system. So when customers, when salespeople at IBM submit a bid for a pricing approval, there's an RPA bot that's fulfilling all the back end. So when the pricer shows up to look at the bid, they've got all the documents they need to see whether or not they should approve or unapprove this bid. And that took a lot of effort for them to go, look around and find it. And as a salesperson and as you as a partner in the channel, understand, how quickly you can get out a bid to a customer can mean the difference between, winning or losing an opportunity. And so
that goes for all of our product centric, listeners out there. If Correct. You have a product that you go to market with that requires pricing approvals on demand in real time, this speaks to you as well.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, and we use some capability of our operational decision manager for the easy kind of structured workflows, but those that need, human intervention, at least we've made their job easier. Right. And so that goes to increasing and enhancing your operational efficiency. How quickly can you get things done, which then leads to reducing costs. Right. And then frankly, it goes to the one of the main goals that I talked about at the beginning is moving employees to higher value, more strategic work down the line, right? So ultimately, as companies invest in automation, they're going to get these immediate benefits. And as we evolve this market or this domain, as we start to include more AI, machine learning technologies, which is kind of what we're looking at in 2023 to make intelligent automation more viable in the mainstream. That is going to, again, continue to augment how these day-to-day knowledge workers or, strategic employees more productive, more efficient, and just drive out operational costs out of the business. And, whether you're looking to trim your workforce or you're looking to, again, move some of these folks into roles and jobs that allow you to be, more customer centric, whatever your KPIs there are that you were trying to map to, those are the key benefits that our automation technologies, whether it's, RPA or process mining to really understand which processes to automate, or, workflow for both case and straight through processing type use cases. There's just so much ability for us to do that. But first, it's really about understanding what's the benefit to your business. Am I talking to a finance department? Are they trying to pay more invoices faster, sooner, trying to improve the bottlenecks? Or are you talking to a front of the house or an insurance company who wants to improve the efficiency of their claims approval process? Whatever it may be, whether it's efficiency, costs, there's an ROI for everyone out there.
Yeah, just like the challenges, just a ton of benefits. Really common entry point to your point is operational cost reduction, getting more out of your dollars and time spent as a business.
Yep.
But with that as a North Star, anyone who has implemented an automation solution sees a cascading of additional benefits of second, third, fourth, and fifth order benefits that happen. Yes, you're saving on operational costs and time, but what about the person who's benefiting from that? What about the pricer out there who has to send 5 emails, make 6 phone calls to get the complete picture of your customer before they approve this discount? They no longer have to do that because of digital business automation. That's a second order benefit to saving on cost is that person's day just got easier.
Correct.
And then because that person's day just got easier, they can process that much more approvals, and you have less clients waiting. And there's the third order,
exactly.
Client experience. We drink our own champagne as well at Salient. I and my work and my colleagues' work is supported by digital business automation every day. We bring in a couple clients a week, and we have projects to kick off. And when I log in to the morning, I have my email inbox that could tell me what to do, or I have my workflow app that tells me what I should do. I should set up this kickoff meeting, this internal kickoff meeting, get the delivery team on board with what the client's looking to do. 2 weeks into the project, I get a workflow reminder that says schedule a check-in meeting to ensure that this project is headed in the right direction. This is taking the guesswork out of what I need to do for my work. And that's just, workflow at its finest. So that's the benefit. There's so many benefits that cascade from, the usual suspects that you really just have to try it to experience it for yourself. All these different orders of benefits that happen. It's a beautiful thing once you get started. And it's fun too. It's fun.
For guys like us, I don't know if my wife would agree with that, but she's got her own workflows and she manages them her way, and whether it's technological or not, I think we could all benefit from some automation, even in our daily lives.
She is in realty, right? So
Correct.
There's probably a workflow somewhere in there for getting a house listed, getting it advertised, getting people there, drafting the contracts, getting them, sent and signed. I'm sure we can help her company with that. Yeah, no doubt about it. For sure. Okay, let's talk about trends. What are some of your favorite trends from last year? What are you looking forward to this year? What should we be looking out for?
So as far as the biggest trend that really kind of sparked my interest, and I spent a lot of time with this, is the use of digital twins in automation. Okay. So one thing that when we acquired our process mining company, Mike Lim, who you've had on the podcast, actually called me and said, look, can you come back to business automation and help lead this acquisition in North America? And when I did some background on the tool, I was just obviously blown away by the potential of some of the challenges that it could help solve in our customers. And digital twins have been, mostly used in manufacturing, engineering, and those sectors have really realized a ton of value of maintaining a digital representation of a process or a service or a physical object that's associated with a particular, technology. And so now we have this technology at our fingertips where automation leaders can, maintain a digital twin of their workflow, right? Of their entire business process, not only across not just one line of business, but across their entire enterprise. And, the potential of what that can deliver from an automation perspective long-term has incredible benefits, right? It can dramatically improve and accelerate the continuous improvement cycle for operational excellence, right? So, as someone who really come out of the process domain, this is really like it reminds me of like DevOps, right? With software delivery. I remember when I was working, one of my first jobs at IBM, I was selling DevOps technology to the government, right? So selling technology that improves manual processes and legacy ways of thinking into agencies like the Department of Veterans Affairs was obviously met with resistance, unsurety, and this was 10 years ago. Even still, there was a lot of hesitancy to move away from the waterfall development cycles and go agile and think about continuous delivery. And we're kind of at that inflection point within automation where, I affectionately call it something like BizOps, right? Where
BizOps, get it trending.
Yeah, we'll try hashtag, right? But like the concept of continuously delivering automations and then using this digital twin to see, okay, if I made this change, if I implemented a specific call it an RPA bot or an improved like workflow within my ERP or whatever system it is we're trying to impact, then I can see, okay, what was the net benefit result? And then, with kind of a real time and say, oh, it worked or it didn't work. And if it did work, what was the ROI and what is the next project that I want to tackle? And so having these digital twins has been, a huge boon for customers that I've worked with. And it's really, if you ask Forrester, they would say, and I know that what they're saying, because I talked to their one of their analysts a few months ago, it's really in the experimental phase as far as customer implementation is concerned.
Yeah, it's pretty advanced topic.
And I think that's true at scale because, some of the large enterprises have made the investment or are using it. But at scale, there's still a lot to be discovered, right? The execution capacity for these companies once they implement this technology is really eye-opening for them. And it does require collaboration, right? If I go back to my DevOps example, you need change management within an organization, right? You've got to have people who own the data involved in the process. You've got to have people who understand the business that you're trying to impact, whether it's finance or customer centric or on HR onboarding. Like you have to have all the stakeholders at the table. A lot of times customers forget the data is almost the most important person to have at the table because it's a data-driven analytics, or, a lot of folks in the IBM world on the IT and AI ops observability side, I kind of call this process observability, just like a network observability or application performance management, right? This is process performance management,
Yeah.
And so this trend, I think is going to continue to impact the way companies identify the right processes. In addition to that, how do we make this the new automation fabric? And leverage more machine learning and AI technologies within it, right, to continue that trend. And I think another trend that I'm seeing that we have a lot of conversations around is one, wider adoption and requirements around low code. I don't love the term citizen developers, but really empowering more business users to be involved in the process. And in 2022, it really was a year where we saw a number of RPA competitive transitions. Whether it was to reduce costs or leverage better features or enable better scalability, we saw there was kind of this little trend of, folks were moving between vendors and exploring different technologies because that space has evolved quite a bit since 2018. And IBM is now our player in that space. And, we're doing our best to help our customers in that space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great trends. The both on the RPA side and the process mining side, they both have so many layers of richness to them. I think the process mining or digital twin trend is an advanced topic that only those who are maybe halfway or more along their hyper automation journey, if you will, are starting to experience. But it can also be a thing for people who are just getting started on their hyper automation, digital business automation journey too. And the difference between those two layers or types or entry points, if you will, either at the beginning or halfway through, is kind of interesting. You could use 100%. Process mining to identify the first bit of automation you could do, or once you have a handful of automations in place, you could use process mining with the emitters to continuously track the performance of your processes with your KPIs.
I think you're exactly right. It's, you guys have been in the business of helping customers map their processes for as long as I've known you guys, which is 7-8 years now, since I was in the federal team. And we've done that via BlueWorks Live, right? BlueWorks Live is a fantastic, I think it's probably industry leading process mapping tool. And, we'll still, even to this day, have customers, we present process mining and they're like, wow, that's a lot to take on. I'm really just interested in mapping it from a human centric point of view. of how these processes work operationally. And we still work with customers every day on BlueWorks Live and how they map their processes, because frankly, to some, process mining is an advanced version of that. It's a data-driven analytics versus, hey, I just want to get in a room and talk about how we do this specific thing. And so there's no reason why they shouldn't start there. But I do think that even if you're not using process mining as a automation accelerator or using it as a way to find opportunities for automation, I think having a digital twin even in and of itself, without even taking action on anything that you learn, has value just at a baseline.
Yeah,
so
100%.
So we're trying to help customers understand that, because it does seem intimidating. Oh, it's data driven. Oh, now I'm talking to a data team and there's info security and all this other stuff, where traditionally it would be like, let me just model this, and so that I can show the auditors when they show up, this is how we talk to our customers about a specific investment product. But whatever it is, I think there's a huge need for this. And while Forrester's saying experimental, I think folks should be really diving into the pool head first, and learning what this can do for their business. Because I'd say 90 to 95% of the customers who we have implemented this and worked with have realized significant benefits. And that's just getting started, right? That now there's a huge pipeline of opportunity because of what they've discovered. It's like, the first time you were afraid of trying a specific food, and once you ate it, you said, oh my God, give me 35 of these. I want more. That's kind of how it was with RPA. And that's kind of how it's coming with process mining in 23.
Yeah. So for the listeners out there, get yourself a digital twin.
Yes.
Get yourself a digital twin. You're charged with improving your process. Yeah. One of the best ways to start is having a platform like process mining ingest some log data. That's all it is. And it spits out a digital twin of your process. There's some nuances in the margin, that we can talk about, but get your log data, pop it into process mining, and get yourself a digital twin. It's a great place to start your year off.
And don't start too big. Start small. Find a specific transactional system you want to analyze. Don't try and bite off more than you can chew. That's where projects fail. If you try and say, hey, I'm going to redo my whole accounts payable, great. It's a great idea, but start and
talk about intake first.
Yeah.
Talk about your first line of reviews. Yeah,
exactly.
Start small. And that's a nice fresh coat of paint, Greg, to put on the kind of industry, what do you call it? There's data out there that says something like 50, 60, 80% of automation projects fail. That is incongruent with what we're seeing with our projects. And I think it's incongruent with what's happening now in 2023.
Yeah, I think it's fail to scale. I'd want to give my automation practitioners out there more credit than they maybe deserve. I think they either fail to scale or they fail to meet the objectives that you set out to start with, because everyone's trying automation. I think that number is good. I think 70 is probably the right number of they just don't achieve what they anticipated. Right.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, I agree. Why they failed. I think they just started in the wrong place. Like you said earlier, they started from an emotional perspective. This process is broken. There's a lot of smoke. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Let's throw a bunch of automation at it. And, oh, wait, my life is easier, but where's the ROI? Versus get yourself a digital twin, use more of a scientific data-backed approach as the thesis behind your first bot or your first workflow, your first automation. Your project's going to fail at a much lower percent rate. Your project's going to succeed at a much higher clip if you're basing your automation project off of your digital twin, off of your own data. So let's put a fresh coat of paint on that percent of automation projects that fail. Right. I think that number is moving down. And that's evidenced by our clients who start with one bot and then they commission 6 more and then they commission 30 more. They start with one workflow app and they go 2, 5, 10. If we start small, if you use a proven method, then you're going to have that much higher of a success rate. Let's transition. Last topic is skills. So 2023, new year, new skills. what are the most common or important maybe skills that a enterprise or even small mid-sized business needs to nail digital business automation in 2023?
So that's a tough question, but I will answer it kind of with theoretically. Look, there's been a need for shifting of skills that accompany any kind of transition or introduction of new technology into the workplace. Again, since machines, since computers, since all this adoption of automation has come along, there's a need for new skills. Right now, we've got AI coming in a more meaningful way. That's going to mark an acceleration of the shift of skills. The need for some skills such as both technological, whether emotional, right? Like these things are going to always be evolving. So workers everywhere are going to have to deepen their existing skill sets in understanding that how to work with the bots, right? I think one of the scariest things that when we meet with customers, less so now, but more so like a few years ago, they thought like the bots were going to take over and they're going to lose their job. But companies need to just rethink how they're organized, how work is organized, right? What they're, what the high value stuff they're going to focus on as the automation and AI technologies start to, transform the way we work. We're going to be interacting with increasingly smarter machines, and that these technologies, this kind of human in the loop, I think is the terminology they use, the human machine interaction is going to be a lot more meaningful. It's going to bring a number of really great benefits to our business. And, like at an enterprise level, we talk about like straight through workflows, improving claims management, all these kind of, big enterprise plumbing, but more focused is, improved corporate performance, customer experience, improved employee experience, right? And that's going to change the way that skills of human workers are going to evolve. They're going to be more, higher value skills that they're going to need to learn versus, the mundane day-to-day operations, right? And they're going to be needed to be a lot more, focused on the higher value and part of that process. So I would expect that to continue. The AI breakthroughs and the ML stuff that we're going through. You see the chat GPT and some of the things that are happening out there and the things that are just keep coming. It's going to be, more touchless interactions, more real-time personalization. How do we do that? We do that through, automation technology, and we drive more of a customer-driven process design, So, I just think as the technologies evolve, the skills that go along with it you're just going to have to be more comfortable with automation being a part of your daily life.
Yeah, that's great. I especially love the skill around their own discipline, their own domain, what it is that they do, kind of regardless of, it's not a digital business automation technique per se, but they're going to need to upskill themselves on what they do for their business. Because with automation, they will have that much more time to do that higher value task.
Correct.
One other skill I notice is the it's the process analyst. Yeah, the business analyst, the business process analyst. I looked at Indeed last year, Indeed.com, and saw somewhere 50, 80 job openings, open requisitions for the business process analyst. And I was just on Indeed last night, and there's over 600 open job requisitions for the business process analyst. What about that skill? What does that speak to for 2023?
Well, that's a great point, right? I mean, I think their skills are going to have to be a lot more aligned to data-driven process analysis versus, what a lot of these process analysts historically were the ones who were leading, collaborative sessions with the line of business and mapping these processes and maintaining those processes. But I think the analysis evolves into something that's more continuous. It's more, data-driven. And I think their skills are going to have to shift from being more administrative to more predictive and consultative in a way that maybe they haven't been as so. And I think it's just going to make their lives easier, because they're going to have to spend less time collecting data and more time analyzing performance and finding ways to be more prosperous or more efficient with the business that they support.
Yeah. So for those 650 business process analysts that get hired in the next few weeks and months, get yourself a digital twin. It's a great place to start the year.
There you go. I like that theme. Yeah.
Get yourself a digital twin.
I could use a digital twin of myself, honestly, as we move into the year. But again, there's skills that Jimmy, you and I have that will never replace by a bot, and that I'm thankful for every day.
More so you than me, but I appreciate it. All right. Speaking of skills, go put those skills to work. Your customers need you. Thanks again for the time. And we'll be in touch.
It's my pleasure, Jimmy. I'm excited to be on the podcast and excited to see you guys continue to do this in 23. I think it's a great piece of work. I mean, in today's days, a podcast is like having a website, right? And more importantly, though, I think my favorite part of your podcast has been a lot of the customers you brought on and their stories of how they're leveraging technology. Those are the ones that I listen to more closely. No offense to my fellow IBMers that may have joined the podcast, but I really do. I think there's a lot of value in that, and congrats to you guys for having a roster of customers that are willing to come and talk about their success with you guys. Congrats.
Thanks, GP. Yeah, we've got a lot of cool stuff coming up this year on season 2 of Bots and Thoughts. This was our first episode. Speaking of those customers, we may have some coming back for a From Then to Now episode. What has transpired in the last year? We've got some giveaways coming up, so stay tuned for an exciting season 2 of Bots and Thoughts. Thanks again, Greg Pollack with IBM Digital Business Automation.
You're welcome, Jimmy.
Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Bots and Thoughts, the hyperautomation podcast sponsored by Salient Process. Be sure to never miss an episode by hitting that subscribe button wherever you're listening to this. Don't forget to connect and interact with us. You can find us on Bots and Thoughts' own LinkedIn page. And we're constantly running feedback surveys and ask that if you've made it this far in the episode, show us some love by responding to a survey and following us on LinkedIn. Finally, if you or someone you know would like to be a special guest on the show, we have a nomination form also down in the description for you to fill out. And with that, see you next episode and happy automating.